All right, today we're going to talk about a story that literally turned the streets of New York City into a real-life horror movie. We're going to look at how one man, armed with a revolver and a bunch of taunting letters, held an entire city in a state of terror. Let's get right into it. So to really get this, you have to picture New York in the late 1970s. I mean, it was a gritty, tough place, already dealing with a lot of crime. But in the summer of '77, a whole new kind of terror showed up. A phantom who hunted in the shadows. And the scariest part? No one had any idea where he would strike next. For a full year, from the summer of 1976 all the way to the summer of 1977, a series of seemingly random, incredibly brutal attacks just created this atmosphere of pure panic. I mean, people completely changed their routines. They avoided going out at night. They were living in a constant state of dread. The killer's weapon of choice? Well, it became the very symbol of his terror, a powerful .44 caliber revolver. Ballistics confirmed the same gun was used in every single attack, and the press quickly gave him his first chilling nickname, the .44 caliber killer. So, who was the man behind the gun? He was a postal worker from Yonkers named David Berkowitz. But he wasn't born David Berkowitz. His birth name was actually Richard David Falco. Yeah, this slide here really gives us a glimpse into a deeply troubled past. Adopted as a baby, Berkowitz's childhood was just marked by anger and this profound difficulty connecting with other people. You could almost see the pattern forming, right? This social isolation just bred resentment, and that morphed into a dark fascination with violence and the occult, a really disturbing combination of factors that, well, it set the stage for the horror that was to come. Okay, so let's look at how this all unfolded. The terror kicked off in July of 1976. For a whole year, Berkowitz would stalk his victims, often targeting young women or couples just sitting in their parked cars late at night. The randomness of it is what was so terrifying. It really felt like it could happen to anyone, anywhere. His year of terror left a devastating toll. 6 innocent lives were tragically and senselessly cut short. And on top of the fatalities, 7 other people were wounded, leaving this trail of physical and psychological trauma that scarred the entire city. But just being a phantom killer, that wasn't enough for Berkowitz. He craved the notoriety. He decided he was going to step out of the shadows, not with his real identity, but with a new, terrifying persona. He started writing these taunting, chilling letters to the police and to a newspaper columnist named Jimmy Breslin. And in these letters, he gave himself a new name. One that would become infamous, the Son of Sam. He was taking control of his own horrifying story. And these letters, they were a total game changer. They were splashed right across the front pages of newspapers, his chilling words invading every home in New York. The crimes weren't just a police matter anymore. They became a psychological war waged against the entire city. The panic just reached a fever pitch. So after a year of terror, after one of the biggest manhunts in New York's history, how was he finally caught? Honestly, the clue was unbelievably mundane. A witness near the scene of the final murder remembered seeing someone get a parking ticket. Police traced it back to a car registered to a David Berkowitz in Yonkers. Now, when the police arrested him, Berkowitz's initial story was bizarre. I mean, he claimed he was just taking orders from a demon that had possessed his neighbor's dog. It was a sensational, wild tale, but the reality was simpler and, frankly, a lot more chilling. He later confessed that he alone was responsible for all the murders. By pleading guilty, Berkowitz managed to avoid a public trial. His fate was sealed with 6 consecutive life sentences, which guaranteed he would spend the rest of his days behind bars. So his capture brought massive relief, of course, but the story was far from over. The Son of Sam case left this permanent mark on New York and the entire country, and its legacy is exactly why we're still talking about it today. The impact of this case was just profound, and it hit on so many levels. It became a pivotal case study for criminal psychology. It forced this huge national conversation about the media's role in covering crime, but it also had a direct legal impact. Berkowitz's notoriety actually led to the creation of what are now called Son of Sam laws. These laws prevent criminals from profiting from their crimes by, say, selling their stories. It was a real, tangible effort to make sure that terror could never again be turned into a payday. In all the decades since his conviction, Berkowitz has apparently undergone a transformation in prison. He claims to have become a born-again Christian. He expresses deep remorse for what he did, and he even participates in prison ministry. Which leaves us with this one final thought. The name, Son of Sam, it's forever tied to the history of New York City. It just makes you wonder about that powerful intersection of crime, media, and public fear, and how the terrifying actions of one person can get absorbed into the permanent identity of a place.